They will accumulate for themselves teachers in accordance to their own desires, turn away their ears from the truth, and get caught up in myths. Boy, sheep need to be protected. They wander off into all kinds of dangerous places. Preach the word. Keep the word coming so that they are moving toward Christ likeness through their continued exposure to the truth. We are, as pastors, the sanctifiers of God's people. At least the human means for that, by the power of the Spirit. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 is, I think, a helpful section of Scripture when you think about the fact that the Bible is written for believers. You're all familiar, I know, with this. Verse 14, a natural man does not accept the things of the Spirit of God. And if there's anything of the Spirit of God, it's the Scripture, since He is the author. In fact, the things of the Spirit of God are foolishness to him. He cannot understand them because they are spiritually appraised, and he is spiritually dead. But, the chapter ends, we have the mind of Christ. The only person who is going to understand the mind of Christ, and by the way, the mind of Christ is simply the Bible. This tells us exactly how Christ thinks, exactly how God thinks. We have it, we get it, we understand it, because we are spiritual, and he who is spiritual appraises all things. You can't teach the Bible to non-believers. They will reject it. And so what does the church do? In its effort to make unbelievers content with the church, it eliminates what the people of God need in a time when the sewage out of the world is drowning the people of God, and they get no help from their shepherds. I want you to look at John 8. I know there's a lot of scripture in this, but can you think of anything better than that? This is pretty definitive here. You know, I've been preaching through the Gospels for much of my ministry life. I've been preaching at Grace Church for over 40 years. I've preached through Matthew, Luke, John, and I'm now working through Mark. And by the time I'm done, if I go another 5 years, 25 out of 45 years I will have been in a gospel. And I love it. But the one thing that you learn from preaching the gospel, the Gospels, is that the people never responded to Christ until they were regenerated. Now remember, Jesus is